All right, guys, welcome to the MMA Fight Game Podcast Studios. I am so fired up to talk to this athlete. We are with Bekzod Abdurakhmonov. He is fighting at Combat FC 4, June 16th in Wilmington, Massachusetts for Joe Cavallero and Rick Caldwell's promotion. He has been out of the fight game for a little bit, but the buzz on Beck is amazing. Beck, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, you're fighting at 170 pounds for at Combat FC 4, which is going to be available on UFC Fight Pass. Is this your new weight class, or are you going to, if you go to the dance in the UFC, are you going to go down to 155?
I'm thinking of going to 155 because I haven't fought in a long time and I don't want to cut that much weight for this show. I mean, every show, every fight is important, but I think more UFC is more important. So, like, I think I'm an average for 170. If I cut down the 155, I'll be, bigger 55.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you fight out of City Young, Boston. Is Mark Delagrade, the legend, the GOAT? Is he your head coach?
No. I used to fight at Studio Time, but now I'm fighting out of Broadway Jiu Jitsu.
Broadway Jiu-Jitsu. My apologies to you and your team. Who's the head coach over there?
John Clark.
John Clark. Okay.
So I have
And
like I have three coaches, all of them almost a head coach. So we don't, John Clark, Joe Lake, and then my brother Moose Abdurakhmonov. So
okay.
so one wrestling coach, boxing, and then jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And do you have who are some of your training partners? Any notable names out of those gyms that are your training partners?
Well, there's Tataki. There's a couple guys, but at the moment, I mean, they're young. Most of them are young. I used to train with Kyle, and I used to train with Rafont and Rico and all of them when I was at City Town, but it's been a while. Now everyone has their own gym. So, yeah, I'm just slowly picking up, and then I'm sure in down the road we'll have a lot of good guys.
Yeah, you're 7-0. You have 3 submission wins, 3 KO, TKOs. Your last fight overseas was a split decision in October of 2017. So, go ahead.
Can I say something? No, I'm a 6-0. That the last fight, it's not my fight. Someone added, so that's not me. We did message the share doc to change it. I think they did, but like, yeah, someone, I don't know how someone added. Like, that's not mine.
Yeah, it's on Tapology, and it seems like Tapology hasn't got up to date with like the changes on the Combat FC card. I don't even think they've picked up on the Nate Garib fight or anything like that yet. That might be one of them. Or no, the Jake Pila fight, excuse me, the Jake Pila fight, who's also on that card. They haven't picked up on that fight yet. So it may take some time for those guys to do that. So you haven't competed in a while. What got the itch to compete now?
I think time is taken, so it's time to do it. Look, I mean, when I was fighting, the reason I stopped fighting because I'm a wrestler, first of all. So at the time when I was fighting at 155, and in wrestling there was no 70 kg, which is 155. But when I was fighting in 2014, they add 70 kg. So I was too small for a 74 kg, and then I was too big for 65. So I was in the middle. So I was fighting at the time. So at the 70, then I just shift back to wrestling, and I always won the fight. So like I always had the inspiration, and then like wanting to do mixed martial art because I have so many friends do it, and then I'm always like fired up about it. I get excited when I watch fights.
Oh yeah, we all do. And hearing about you and the buzz, when you were competing, and at the intro, I didn't say the biggest accolade for yourself. You were also the bronze medalist at the 2020 Tokyo Games in wrestling as well, which is a major accomplishment. You were during those times you were doing MMA. How did you balance that all?
I mean, it takes dedication and it takes hard work. Because I mean, if you want it, you can make it happen. Like it's all about how much you want it. So I want it, and then I like there's the days I would do MMA, but like if I have a big tournament in wrestling, I would shift to wrestling more. And if I have an MMA event coming up, so I would shift to MMA. But either way, I usually do 3 times a week, 4 times a week wrestling, no matter what, in the mornings. I have to. Like, that's my like base. That's my strong point. So I cannot like. There's some MMA guys, the wrestlers who shift to MMA, and then they forget about their wrestling, and they were really good at like taking down people and submitting and finishing. But later on, they just got comfortable on their feet and they forgot about MMA. I mean wrestling. So then they start losing the fight. So I don't want to do that. I want to stick to the base, where I'm strong, and then just build the rest of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And building that base, do you agree that wrestling is the best base for mixed martial arts?
I would think so, yes, because you can learn boxing, you can learn jiu-jitsu, you can learn how to kick and all that stuff. But wrestling is hard. It takes years of hard work to learn wrestling. I mean, you might learn basic wrestling just as sprawl, but when it comes to the position and finishing and all that stuff, it takes years. So for MMA, I think having wrestling backgrounds, I think it's a big advantage.
Where did you learn wrestling first?
Overseas, back home, back in Uzbekistan.
Now, is overseas in your home country, is that wrestling different than American wrestling?
So American wrestling is like you guys have a folk style and freestyle. So folk styles, yes, a little different because you can roll through your back, and then as long as they don't hold you there, there's no explosion, there's no point. But in freestyle, as soon as you flip to past 45, I believe, it's 2 points. So you gotta, yeah, those are the thing different. And from the bottom in folk style, you have to escape. If you escape, it's 1 point. In the freestyle, you just lay there and then defend the guard range and all that stuff. Yeah, that is a little bit different. But if you mix both, it helps a lot.
Yeah. Which one do you prefer?
For MMA, I prefer folk style, of course, because you have a lot of scramble, you have to get up, and it brings you down and all the stuff. For Olympic wrestling, I mean, I like both, to be honest. I
Mm-hmm.
like freestyle too because that's what I did all my life. But also folk style is fun too. So I like both.
Yeah. Now, you've competed in mixed martial arts. You've also competed in the grandest stage in the Olympics in wrestling. What gets your nerves more?
Uh, when I was training full time, I think MMA is more nerve wracking. Up to you, once you get in the cage, it goes away. But
Mm-hmm.
up till then, because in wrestling, you do like 5 match a day with different opponent, but they're not gonna punch you, they're not gonna kick you. So it's different mentality, because there's free. You just go out there. Worst thing, if you lose, you lose. But in MMA, if you lose, that means you got beat. You got like your ass got kicked. That's the difference. So it's like a little bit of mind game, but I mean, yeah, of course, the fighting is more nervous. I get more nervous, but I think I'm good at. I like to think I'm good at it. How to control myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that wrestling base, it's a very high level wrestling base that you have. You are a coach. Are you an assistant coach at Harvard Wrestling, right?
I'm a volunteer assistant. Yes.
Yeah, volunteer. And how did your season go this year with those guys?
Pretty good. We had a good season. I mean, we have a young team, and then those guys are improving. They hardworking guys. So
Mhm.
it's like it takes time to build a great program. So that's what our coach is doing, and they're bringing a lot of good recruits and good technique, everything. So I think we're off to a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so on June 16th for Combat FC4, live in person or live on UFC Fight Pass, you're fighting Derek DeFreitas, a really gritty Brazilian fighter. What are your expectations without getting into your specific game plan for that Saturday night?
Expectation is to go out there and then do what I do best, fight him.
And then after this fight, are you looking to get the call to the UFC? There is one in your coming in your hometown in Boston in August. I think August 19th, UFC 292, headlined by Aljamain Sterling and Sugar Sean O'Malley. Are you looking to get a call to be on that fight card, potentially the Dana White Contender Series? Because I know that month of June, there's a lot of regional fights, and they're still booking for the Dana White Contender Series. Now, are you looking to get a call for that, or what are you looking to do after?
I don't care. I mean, if they call me, let's go. If not, then I will keep training. And then I mean, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of experience. I will be there. And funny story. So when I was fighting it will be fun. It will be cool though. Because when I was fighting for one time, I had a fight for CFFC.
Okay.
Jersey, and then in that card I was fighting, and then the Aljamain Sterling was the main event in the same card.
Oh, no kidding.
So if I show up if I fight in the Boston show, that'd be cool.
Was that your fight against Christian Leonard?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, actually, one of Aljo's teammates was on your card for Combat FC, Pompos Gregorio, and he actually had to withdraw because he got a call for the Contender Series. It seems like a lot of guys in Joe Cavaliero's promotion are getting those looks to go to that next level.
Yeah, they're doing good job, and especially it's on UFC Fight Pass. So I'm sure the people from UFC they watch the show and then they try to recruit more people.
Yeah, and then so you trained. Were you at Clarion? Was that your high school or was that college?
That was my college.
That was your college, and then you trained out at the Nittany Lions club as well, right? Is that how that worked? They hosted you guys?
Yeah. So they have a RTC and then they have a college guys. So Nittany Lions Wrestling Club is basically a regional training center. So all the guys who are part of the Nittany Lions is post-grad who graduate from the university. Now they're just focusing on freestyle, the Olympic level, and world championships.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's actually a UFC fighter who's making big waves, and through the grapevine on the street, I've heard that you are potentially more dominant than him and Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal's fighting at UFC 290 against Trayshawn Gore. What do you think of Bo Nickal, and is your game similar but different, or?
I mean, we both have a similar background, like a wrestling background, first of all. But Bo has his unique style. He's so strong. He's explosive. He's in a different level too. Like I cannot compare myself to him because I'm in a different level. I'm a different body type, and I do my things differently. He does his differently. So I think eventually Bo will become a champion that whatever the weight he's fighting. So it's like, yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Now the weight classes, is that what you mean by like different body type? Obviously, you're fighting at 170 on June 16th at Combat FC 4. If you make it, when you make it to the dance, the UFC, you'll be fighting at 155. So I can only imagine what are some of the differences that you see? Is it the gas tank being heavier? You're stronger, like you had mentioned.
No, it's just different. It's just my wrestling background. I can get them tired. I mean, it's not like I'm working on my striking, everything too, but like I don't want to be the boring wrestler in the MMA. You know what I mean? It's like I want to be well around all over the place. So I want to. If someone wants to box, I want to box. If someone wants to do wrestling, I will wrestle, like jiu-jitsu. So I think with my wrestling backgrounds, I can do a lot of damage because a lot of people have a basic wrestling, but not high level wrestling. Once I'm good at jiu-jitsu and boxing, kickboxing, it'll be different.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you think the Olympics and the pressure of the Olympics competing, winning the bronze medal in 2020 at the Tokyo Games, do you think that like prepared you like where that's probably the ultimate test, ultimate pressure moment where MMA, it's just, you train hard and the fight is the easy part?
I would think so. The fighting is a much easier part than training, because in training we do like 25 minutes nonstop. You stay in the middle, people come at you from different angles and so many different positions, and they give you the big gloves, and then they have the small gloves, and then they come after you. It's hard, but like fighting is like getting in the cage, and then we only it could end in 1 minute, or he go 15 minutes. But it definitely, the fighting part is much easier than training. That's for sure.
Yeah. And back in 2016, I know you had a big moment where in Rio at the Olympics, you wrestled one of the greatest of all time in Jordan Burroughs. You had a tech fall, which means 10 points or more. Can you talk to me about that day and that match? Was everything aligned with what you were doing, and that's how it happened? Or explain that a little bit to us.
So before that, before Olympics, I like, because I knew the Borough was the best. Like if you want to beat the best, you have to go after him. So, so I used to watch the schedule that when USA Wrestling puts out, and then the who's going to what tournament. So I saw the list, and then Burroughs was going to Germany, and before that I didn't wrestle him, so I never wrestled him. So I have a habit that before, like, I have to wrestle someone before I get a good feel. You know what I mean? So I had to wrestle Burroughs before the Olympics, have an idea what he does, how he does, and his strength, speed, all the stuff. So I was looking for which tournaments he's gonna go, and I find out he's going to Germany or Poland. I don't remember exactly because we did a double tour.
Yeah.
So I find out he's going there. I think it was Germany. So we talked with my coaches, and then the whole team went to Germany to compete in that tournament. And luckily, I got to wrestle Burroughs, and I lost in that match, but it was pretty close. So I lost, and I had a good feel. I got to feel him, what he does, how he does, and then I trained for that guy like through the summer, lead up to the Olympics. So I knew I was prepared, because he would fake and shoot and all that stuff. So I was ready to go, and well, I knew exactly what he's gonna do, and he did it. And then I was ready for counter offense, defense, all that stuff. So I did what I did, and then I ended up beating him.
Yeah, that was an amazing performance. Being the only guy to tech fall Jordan Burroughs, a legend in USA wrestling. You still hear about it today, right?
Yeah, sometimes people mention. I mean, what happened in past, it stays in past. It's whatever. I don't care.
In a perfect world, after Saturday or after Friday night, excuse me, June 16th, what do you want to happen next for yourself?
Uh, to be honest, it doesn't matter. If UFC calls me, they call, like, great. If not, then I will just keep training, because I haven't fought in a while. So I still, like, I'm getting back slowly. So I'm not gonna rush. Like, there's no reason to rush. And yeah.
And then on Saturday night, you said no rushing. Are you on the tail end of your camp, kind of winding down, and then you're gonna leave for Wilmington?
Yep. I think Thursday is my last somewhat hard day, and then
Mhm.
slowly I will just work on my losing weight, and then technique and tactics, like how we're gonna fight them, and then all that stuff, and then that's it.
And the weight cut from to 170 is probably a way easier cut than
Oh
155.
yeah, I will probably make it in one day.
Now,
It's
now, did wrestling help you with the weight cuts? Obviously, wrestling teaches you extreme discipline. Like you have to be very disciplined. Did the weight cut and that process as you were growing up help you today?
Yeah, for sure. Because if you don't have a discipline, and if you don't know how to cut properly, you have a miserable cut weight. Like now, like once I learn how to do the proper way, I usually have 3 4 meals a day. I mean, small portion, of course, but I drink so much water, and with electrolyte and stuff. And by the time I bring everything down, my weight will be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we wrap up, again, you're fighting Derek DeFreitas June 16th at Combat FC 4. In a perfect world, what would you prefer? Would you prefer a call to compete at UFC 292 in Boston, or would you prefer going on the Dana White Contender Series?
I prefer to fight in Abu Dhabi in October. That would be perfect world for me.
That's a perfect world. Just a short, if they called you for Abu Dhabi, would you take it short notice, or?
I mean, I hope at least 2 weeks. That would be good because I gotta make weight. I mean, it depends what weight they're gonna ask me for. If it's 55, then at least 2 weeks would be perfect because then I can bring my weight down. And because you gotta understand, I'm not there to get beat up. If I'm gonna be in the UFC, I want to win it. It's like I cannot be. They came today, short notice. Let's go. I mean, I'll fight anyone in the UFC roster, but still, same time, I have to cut properly so I can perform to my best. It's not like I'll just show up and get beat up and then or feel like miserable. I don't want that. Like 2 weeks, be perfect, and then perfect world, Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. And would you have a lot of friends and family that would come out to that fight in Abu Dhabi at UFC 294?
100%. I have a lot of people because I have if you think about it, if I'm in the UFC and then if I want to promote it, I'll have 35 million people to promote from Uzbekistan. And then Dubai is for us a couple hours flight, and we don't need a visa, anything like that. So I have a lot of fans from Uzbekistan, Russia, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, all these places. So because I've wrestled so long, I have so many friends, and then I'm sure they would come. And I have a lot of friends also.
Are you the only active fighter from your country right now?
No, we got plenty. Now it's like MMA is big. It's growing sport. It's growing so fast. It's crazy.
Would you be the only one on the let me rephrase that. Would you be the only one on the UFC roster, or is there others like Bellator, ONE FC, and all that?
We had 4 people from Uzbekistan fought in the UFC. One of them was still in the roster, and there was 1 female, 3 male. So 2 of them got cut. I don't know why, but one of them still in the UFC. And then the Lila, I don't know. The female, I think she's still part of the UFC.
What are the names that are currently active? Do you know?
One of them is Mahmoud Muradov. I think he fights welterweight, maybe one above welterweight. Yeah, he's fighting in July, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you see all these countries. There's athletes fighting from overseas. I forget which country off the top of my head now, where they actually packed a stadium and they went crazy. It was really early in the morning.
Kazakhstan.
Now, would that be something similar if you were to fight in the UFC? Would your fellow countrymen and women come out to watch you fight like that?
I'm sure, because we have a young generation is going crazy about MMA. If you go to any gym in Uzbekistan now, before it wasn't like that. Past 3-4 years, you go to any gym, you will have packed gym. Everyone's training MMA, boxing, all that stuff. It's I mean it's impressive.
Yeah. And what is your prediction for Saturday or for Friday night, June 16th at Combat FC 4? What do you see happening? What's your prediction?
I finish him on the feet, so it's in the barn.
Awesome. Well, Beck, I really appreciate your time. Again, you're fighting June 16th at Combat FC 4 against Derek DeFreitas. It's available live on UFC Fight Pass, as well as it's also going to have some Facebook fights that are going to be on as well. And the tickets are limited amount of tickets are still available from what I've heard from Joe Kev. So I really appreciate your time today. Just sit tight. All right.
Yep. Thank you.